We're drowning in bills. I saved $500 for a PlayStation for my husband's birthday. During the celebration, my mill said my son deserves a wife who prioritizes necessities, not toys. It hurt, but I had my revenge planned. At a family meeting, she panicked when she found out. You know, Marcus deserves a wife who prioritizes necessities, not toys. The words landed right in the middle of the living room. My husband was still holding the PlayStation box, tissue paper scattered around his feet, and everyone just stopped. His sister Denise had a fork halfway to her mouth. His brother Kevin was mid-laugh. The whole room went silent except for the ceiling fan clicking overhead. Patricia, my mother-in-law, sat in the armchair by the window like she was holding court, wine glass in hand, watching me with that particular look she'd perfected over the years. Half pity, half judgment. All performance. I'm just saying what everyone's thinking, she continued, smoothing her blouse. You two are struggling. Rent's barely made. Credit cards maxed. And she spends $500 on a gaming console? That's not love. That's irresponsibility. Marcus set the box down slowly. Mom. Don't mom me. I'm looking out for you. Someone has to. I stood by the kitchen doorway, holding the cake I'd baked from scratch because we couldn't afford to order one. Chocolate with raspberry filling, his favorite. My hands were steady. My face was neutral. I'd learned a long time ago not to give Patricia the satisfaction of seeing me rattled. The bills are our business, Marcus said. They become my business when I'm the one who might have to bail you out again. Patricia sipped her wine. Remember the furnace last winter? Who wrote that check? Me? Because your wife can't manage money. The furnace. She'd been holding that over us for 8 months. Never mind that we'd paid her back in full within 3. Never mind that she'd offered without being asked and then weaponized it at every family gathering since. I walked to the table and set the cake down. Didn't say a word. Just grabbed a knife and started cutting. Are we going to pretend I didn't say anything? Patricia asked. Yes, I said, handing Marcus the first slice. We are. It's his birthday. She laughed. That dry, brittle laugh she used when she wanted everyone to know she was above the conversation. Fine. Bury your heads in the sand. I'm just trying to help. The rest of the party limped along. Kevin tried to revive the mood by joking about his own wife's spending habits, which didn't land. Denise cornered me in the kitchen later to whisper that she was sorry and that Mom was being extra tonight. I nodded and said it was fine. It wasn't fine. But it wasn't the first time, either. Patricia had been pushing like this since Marcus and I got married 4 years ago. Small comments at first, about my cooking, my job, my family background. Then bigger ones. About how I dressed. How I decorated our apartment. Whether I was really trying to find better work or just coasting on Marcus's salary. She had opinions about everything and delivered them like she was doing us a favor. The PlayStation comment, though? That was different. That was public. That was in front of his siblings, their spouses, 2 cousins, and Marcus's grandmother, who was too polite to say anything but looked uncomfortable the entire rest of the evening. I'd saved that money over 5 months. Skipped lunches. Sold clothes I didn't wear anymore. Picked up freelance work on weekends. $500, pulled together dollar by dollar while we juggled rent and utilities and medical bills from Marcus's knee surgery the previous fall. I'd wanted to give him something good. Something that wasn't another reminder of how tight things were. Something that felt like normal. And Patricia reduced it to irresponsibility. Later that night, after everyone left, Marcus found me in the bathroom scrubbing the cake pan. You okay? I'm fine. You're not fine. You've been scrubbing that pan for 10 minutes. It's clean. I rinsed it off and set it on the drying rack. Your mother embarrassed me in front of your entire family. He leaned against the doorframe. I know. I talked to her before she left. And? She said she didn't mean it the way it sounded. I turned around. She said I'm irresponsible with money. In front of everyone. On your birthday. How else could that sound? He didn't have an answer. He never did when it came to Patricia. He loved his mother, and I understood that. But understanding it didn't make it easier to swallow. I'm going to bed, I said. He caught my arm as I passed. I love the PlayStation. I love that you did that for me. She's wrong. I kissed his cheek. I know. But I also knew something else. Patricia had crossed a line she couldn't uncross. And this time, I wasn't going to let it slide. Over the next few weeks, I did something I'd never done before. I started keeping track. Not of her insults, I'd stopped keeping track of those years ago because there were too many, but of something else. Something she'd been very careful to keep quiet. It started with a comment Kevin made at the birthday party, right before Patricia's little performance. He'd mentioned something about Mom helping him with a cash flow issue for his contracting business. Denise had laughed and said Mom had helped her pay off her car loan last year. Marcus had nodded like this was old news. It was old news to them. It wasn't to me. I started asking questions, carefully, casually. Over coffee with Denise. During a barbecue at Kevin's place. Just normal sister-in-law conversations. How much had Patricia given Kevin? $15,000, over 3 installments. How much for Denise's car? $8,000. Had she helped Marcus with anything else I didn't know about? The down payment on our first apartment, apparently. $10,000, given to him before we were married. He told me it came from savings. $33,000, distributed among her 3 children over the past 5 years. And I only knew about the furnace. That wasn't what interested me, though. What interested me was where the money came from. Patricia didn't work. She'd been retired for 6 years, living on Social Security and a modest pension from her 25 years as a school secretary. Her house was paid off, but property taxes in that area weren't cheap. Her car was new. Her clothes were always nice. She traveled twice a year, Florida in the winter, the coast in the summer. The math didn't add up. I mentioned this to Marcus one night, keeping my voice casual. Where does your mom get all that money? He shrugged. She's always been good at saving. She gave Kevin $15,000 last year. How do you know that? He mentioned it. Marcus frowned. She didn't tell me about that. Denise got $8,000 for her car. Okay, so? So your mom's been handing out tens of thousands of dollars while she lives on Social Security and pension. Either she's got a secret stash somewhere, or the money's coming from somewhere else. He thought about it for a moment. Maybe she's got investments or something. Maybe. I left it there. But I didn't stop digging. Patricia's husband, Marcus's father, had died 7 years ago. Heart attack, sudden, no warning. He'd left behind a modest life insurance payout and a small retirement account that Patricia had rolled into an annuity. Nothing extravagant, but enough to supplement her fixed income. Except there was one other thing. A detail I'd heard once at a family dinner and filed away without thinking much of it. Marcus's grandmother, Patricia's mother, had moved in with Patricia about 5 years ago. She was 91 now, sharp as ever but physically frail. She needed daily help with meals, bathing, medication. Patricia had taken over as her caregiver. And Patricia received a monthly payment for it. Grandma Rose had a trust. Set up by her late husband, who'd owned a small manufacturing business in the 70s and sold it for a comfortable profit before he died. The trust paid out a stipend for her care, managed by her estate attorney, dispersed monthly to whoever served as her primary caregiver. $3,000 a month, tax-free. $36,000 a year. That's where the money was coming from. Now, let me be clear, there's nothing illegal about that arrangement. Grandma Rose needed care. Patricia provided it. The trust paid for it. That's how those things work. But here's what didn't sit right with me. Patricia constantly complained about how exhausting it was to take care of her mother. How tied down she was. How she'd sacrificed so much to keep Rose out of a nursing home. And yet, somehow, Patricia managed to take 2 vacations a year. She went to book clubs and wine nights and church events. She got her hair done every 2 weeks. She had a cleaning lady who came twice a month. Who was actually taking care of Grandma Rose while Patricia was doing all of that? I found out 3 weeks after the birthday party. I'd stopped by Patricia's house to drop off a dish she'd left at our place. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Patricia wasn't home, her car wasn't in the driveway, but I could see movement through the front window. I knocked. A woman I didn't recognize answered. Can I help you? I'm Marcus's wife. I'm just returning a dish. Oh. Come in, come in. I'm Luann. Luann, it turned out, was a home health aide. She'd been coming to the house 3 days a week for the past 2 years to help with Grandma Rose. Bathing, meals, medication reminders. Sometimes light housekeeping. Patricia must really appreciate the help, I said. Luann smiled. Oh, she's barely here most days. I do the heavy lifting. But she's a sweetheart, always pays me on time. How much does she pay you, if you don't mind me asking? Luann told me. $12 an hour, 3 days a week, about 4 hours a day. $600 a month. Patricia was receiving $3,000 a month to care for her mother. She was paying someone else $600 to actually do it. That left $2,400 in profit every month, nearly $30,000 a year, while she went around telling everyone how burdened she was. And using that money to play Lady Bountiful with her children. Handing out cash to Kevin. Bailing out Denise. Reminding all of them how much they owed her. Then turning around and calling me irresponsible for buying my husband a birthday present. I took the dish back to the kitchen. Grandma Rose was sitting at the table doing a crossword puzzle. Hello, sweetheart, she said when she saw me. Is Marcus with you? Not today. Just dropping something off. Sit with me a minute. I don't get many visitors. I sat. We talked. Rose was as sharp as I remembered, Quick with a joke, full of stories. She asked about Marcus, about my job, about whether we were thinking about kids. Normal grandmother stuff. Then she said something that caught my attention. Patricia tells me money's tight for you two. It's been a challenging year. She said you bought Marcus some kind of video game machine for his birthday. Said it was wasteful. I looked at her. That's what she said? She worries. She wants all her children to be secure. I understand. But between us, Rose leaned in conspiratorially. I think she worries too much about the wrong things. I didn't respond to that. But I filed it away. 2 weeks later, Patricia announced a family meeting. This happened occasionally. She'd summon everyone to the house to discuss holiday plans or family logistics or whatever minor crisis she decided required a summit. Usually Marcus and I found excuses to skip or show up late. This time, I made sure we were early. The meeting was ostensibly about Grandma Rose's upcoming 92nd birthday. Where to have it, who would bring what, how to make it special. But I knew Patricia well enough to know there was always a secondary agenda. I was right. About 20 minutes in, after the birthday planning had been mostly settled, Patricia cleared her throat in that way she did when she was about to make a pronouncement. While we're all here, she said, I want to talk about something important. Everyone shifted in their seats. Kevin's wife looked at her phone. Denise reached for her wine. Caring for Mother has been a blessing, Patricia continued. But it's also been a sacrifice. A significant one. I've put my life on hold to make sure she's comfortable, and I've done it gladly. But I've been thinking about the future, and I want us all to be on the same page. Marcus glanced at me. I kept my face neutral. When Mother passes, and I pray that's not for many years, there will be an estate. The house. The trust. Whatever remains. I've already spoken to her attorney about my role as caregiver, and I've been assured that my contributions will be taken into account. Translation: Patricia expected to receive the bulk of whatever Rose left behind, over and above whatever the other grandchildren might get. I don't think it's unreasonable, Patricia added, given what I've sacrificed. Nobody said anything. Kevin looked uncomfortable. Denise stared at her wine. Grandma Rose, who was sitting in the corner doing another crossword, either wasn't paying attention or was pretending not to. I just want us to agree now, Patricia said, so there are no surprises later. That's when I decided to speak. Can I ask a question? Patricia looked at me like I'd grown a second head. I rarely spoke at these meetings. I certainly never challenged her. What is it? You mentioned sacrifices. I'm just curious what those look like day to day. Kevin was telling me you've been doing a lot of traveling lately. Florida, the coast. That sounds nice. Patricia's smile tightened. Everyone needs a break now and then. Of course. But when you're away, who takes care of Rose? Silence. Because when I stopped by a few weeks ago, I continued, I met Luann. She said she's been coming 3 days a week for 2 years. Bathing, meals, medication. She seems like she does a great job. Patricia's face was very still. Luann provides supplemental support. I handle the majority of Mother's care. For $3,000 a month. The silence got louder. Marcus sat up. What? The trust pays out $3,000 a month for Rose's care, I said. It goes to Patricia. She pays Luann $600. The rest, about $29,000 a year, Patricia keeps. I looked at Rose. She had stopped doing her crossword. She was watching Patricia. Is that true? Rose asked quietly. Mother, this is not. Is that true, Patricia? Patricia's mouth opened, closed, opened again. You need care. I provide it. The stipend is compensation for that. It's all perfectly legal. I know it's legal, Rose said. I set up the trust. I know what it pays. What I didn't know is that you've been farming out my care to a stranger and pocketing the difference while telling everyone what a burden I am. I never said you were a burden. You said exactly that. To Kevin, last Thanksgiving. I was in the next room. I heard every word. The room was absolutely silent now. Kevin was looking at the floor. Denise was staring at her mother like she'd never seen her before. And you, Rose said, turning to me. How did you find out about this? I asked questions. It's not complicated math. Rose nodded slowly. Then she looked at Patricia. Give me my phone. Mother. My phone. Now. Patricia's hands were shaking as she retrieved the phone from the side table and handed it over. Rose scrolled through her contacts, tapped a number, and waited. Harold? It's Rose Whitmore. Yes, I'm fine. I need to make some changes to my trust documents. I'd like to schedule a meeting this week. Yes, as soon as possible. Thursday works. 10 o'clock. Thank you. She hung up. Mother, you can't. I can do whatever I want. It's my money. It's always been my money. And I've been letting you manage my care because I trusted you. That was clearly a mistake. Patricia looked around the room for support. Kevin was studying the ceiling. Denise was suddenly very interested in her phone. Marcus was watching me with an expression I couldn't quite read. This is her doing, Patricia said, pointing at me. She's been jealous of this family since day one. She's trying to turn you all against me. I haven't turned anyone against you, I said. I just answered Grandma Rose's question. The rest is on you. Patricia stood up. Her wine glass trembled in her hand. For a moment, I thought she might throw it. You have no idea what I've sacrificed, she said. None of you do. I gave up my retirement to take care of my mother. I put my travel plans on hold. You literally just got back from Florida 3 weeks ago, Kevin said quietly. Patricia stared at him. What? You posted pictures. On Facebook. You were at that resort in Naples for 5 days. That was a necessary break. Caregiving is exhausting. But you're not caregiving, Denise said. Luann is. The room had shifted. I could feel it. The balance of power that Patricia had held for years, through guilt, through money, through the careful manipulation of family obligations, was crumbling. She turned to Marcus. Her last hope. Marcus, you're my son. Tell them this is ridiculous. Marcus looked at her for a long moment. Then he looked at me. Then back at his mother. You told my wife she was irresponsible, he said. In front of everyone. At my birthday party. Because she saved up money to buy me a gift. Meanwhile, you've been skimming 30 grand a year from Grandma's care fund and handing out cash to make yourself look generous. I was not skimming. That money is mine. I earned it. By paying someone else to do the work. Patricia's face was red now, blotchy. Her composure completely gone. This is a coup, she said. That's what this is. You're all conspiring against me. Nobody's conspiring, I said. We're just not pretending anymore. Rose pushed herself up from her chair. Luann appeared from somewhere and offered an arm, but Rose waved her off. Patricia, she said. I love you. You're my daughter. But I'm 91 years old, and I don't have time left for dishonesty. You took advantage of my trust. You took advantage of my money. And you did it while making everyone believe you were doing me a favor. She walked slowly toward the door. I'm tired. I'm going to lie down. When I wake up, I'd like to discuss new arrangements for my care. Arrangements that don't involve you managing anything. She left. The room stayed silent. Patricia looked at each of her children in turn. Kevin wouldn't meet her eyes. Denise was crying quietly. Marcus just sat there, hand on my knee, staring at nothing. This isn't over, Patricia said. But it was. We all knew it was. The meeting with the estate attorney happened that Thursday. Rose didn't invite Patricia. She took Marcus instead, along with her own personal attorney, a woman named Sandra who specialized in elder law and had been recommended by one of Rose's friends. The trust was restructured. Patricia was removed as primary caregiver and as a trustee. A professional caregiving agency was hired to provide daily support for Rose, paid directly from the trust. The monthly stipend that had been going to Patricia stopped immediately. Rose also updated her will. I don't know the exact details, that wasn't my business, but Marcus told me later that the distribution had been changed to equal shares among the grandchildren, with no special consideration for Patricia's sacrifices. Patricia called Marcus 7 times in the 3 days following the meeting. He answered once. She screamed at him for 20 minutes about betrayal and ingratitude and how I had poisoned their family. He hung up when she called me a word I won't repeat. She tried calling me directly after that. I let it go to voicemail. Listened to about 30 seconds of ranting, then deleted it. 2 weeks later, we received a letter from Patricia's attorney. It was full of vague threats about tortious interference and defamation and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Marcus showed it to Sandra who. She laughed. There's nothing here, she said. Your mother's angry, and she hired someone to write her anger down on letterhead. This won't go anywhere. It didn't. We never heard from the attorney again. What we did hear, through Kevin, was that Patricia had been scrambling. The $30,000 a year she'd been using to supplement her lifestyle was gone. The gifts she'd been doling out to her children, which, it turned out, she'd been expecting them to remember and repay in some form eventually, were now just debts she'd created for herself. She'd been living above her means for years, propped up by her mother's trust fund, and now the floor had fallen out. She tried to sell the narrative that I was the villain. That I'd manipulated Rose. That I'd turned her children against her. Some people in the extended family believed it. Her sister stopped talking to us. A few cousins unfollowed me on social media. I didn't care. The people who mattered knew the truth. Marcus and I spent the next few months rebuilding. We paid down some debt. I picked up more freelance work. He got a small raise at his job. The PlayStation got used almost every night. We'd play together after dinner, just an hour or two, a way to decompress that didn't cost anything. One evening, about 3 months after the family meeting, Grandma Rose called me directly. "I wanted to thank you," she said. "You don't have to thank me. I just told the truth. That's exactly why I'm thanking you. No one else would. They were all too afraid of Patricia. You weren't." "I was a little afraid." She laughed. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp. But you did the right thing anyway. That's what matters. How are you feeling? How's the new care team?" "Wonderful. They actually show up. They actually help. And I don't have to pretend to be grateful to my daughter for doing the bare minimum anymore." We talked for a while longer. About Marcus, about family, about what she wanted for her birthday. She was planning a small party, just close family and a few friends. She wanted me to help plan it. "I'd love that," I said. "Good. And bring that husband of yours. I want to see him smile. He always looks so serious." "He's been stressed. His mother is a grown woman who made her own choices. He's not responsible for those choices. Neither are you. The sooner you both accept that, the happier you'll be." She was right. She usually was. The birthday party happened on a Saturday afternoon in Rose's living room. Kevin and his wife came. Denise came with her kids. Marcus and I brought a cake, chocolate with raspberry filling, same recipe I'd made for his birthday. Patricia was not invited. She found out about the party through Facebook, apparently. Someone posted a picture. She called Kevin in tears, asking why she'd been excluded. He told her the truth. Rose didn't want her there. "That's my mother," Patricia said. "You can't keep me from my own mother. It's her house. Her birthday. Her choice." She showed up anyway. Just appeared at the door about an hour into the party, dressed up like she was going to church, holding a wrapped gift. Rose saw her through the window. She asked Luann to answer the door. "Mrs. Whitmore doesn't want visitors right now," Luann said. "I'm not a visitor. I'm her daughter." "She doesn't want to see you, ma'am." Patricia tried to push past. Luann, who was about 5'10" and solidly built, didn't move. "Ma'am, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the police. This is ridiculous. This is my family. It's Mrs. Whitmore's family. And she's asked you to leave." Patricia stood there for a long moment. Her face cycled through several emotions: rage, hurt, disbelief, something that might have been genuine grief. Then she dropped the gift on the porch and walked back to her car. Nobody went after her. Nobody picked up the gift. We found out later it was a music box. One of those old-fashioned ones with a ballerina that spins when you open the lid. Rose told Kevin to donate it to Goodwill. Life went on. Marcus and I celebrated our 5th anniversary that fall. Small dinner, nothing fancy. We'd learned to appreciate small. Small wasn't irresponsible. Small wasn't wasteful. Small was just right. Rose lived another 18 months. She passed peacefully in her sleep, at home, surrounded by the care team she'd chosen for herself. The funeral was beautiful. Patricia came. She sat in the back and didn't speak to anyone. After the service, she left without attending the reception. The estate was settled the following spring. Equal shares to all grandchildren, just as Rose had wanted. Patricia received nothing beyond what she'd already taken during those years as caregiver. Her attorney sent another letter suggesting there might be grounds for a challenge. Sandra, who responded with a detailed accounting of the trust disbursements, showing exactly how much Patricia had received and how little she'd actually spent on care. The challenge never materialized. I haven't spoken to Patricia since. Neither has Marcus. He calls Kevin sometimes. Denise sends Christmas cards. But Patricia exists now only as a name that occasionally comes up, a cautionary tale the family tells without saying her name. "Remember when Mom tried to crash Grandma's birthday?" Kevin said at a barbecue last summer. "Remember when she sent that lawyer's letter?" Denise added. "Remember when she called me irresponsible," I said, "for buying my husband a PlayStation?" Everyone laughed. Even Marcus, though there was something a little sad in it. The PlayStation still works, by the way. We've upgraded since then, life's gotten easier, money's less tight, but we kept that first one. It sits on the shelf in our living room, next to the TV, still connected, still functional. Sometimes I look at it and think about that birthday party. About Patricia sitting in her armchair like a queen, passing judgment on how I spent my money while she pocketed $30,000 a year from her own mother. About the look on her face when she realized the truth was coming out. I don't feel guilty. I don't feel vindicated. I don't feel much of anything about Patricia anymore. I feel something about that PlayStation, though. Something warm. Something real. It cost $500. I saved it up myself. I gave it to my husband because I love him and I wanted him to have something good. That's not irresponsible. That's not wasteful. That's just love, doing what love does. Patricia never understood that. I doubt she ever will. But that's not my problem anymore. It never really was.